is a very simple and cost-effective way to immediately begin improving your health, to include decreasing your stress, overcome anxiety, and much more. Listen to today's episode to find out what the answer is. Oh, and be sure and listen all the way to the end because it's at the end where my special guest today, life coach and breathwork expert Anna Prieto, summarizes what it really takes to improve your health via the magical art of breathwork.
Welcome, everybody. Another episode of the Be Well, Be Safe, Be Happy, Eat Ice Cream podcast. I'm so happy to be here. As I know I'm sounding like a broken record. I have these awesome guests, and it's just so true. And today I've got Anna with us. Anna happens to be in my current home city right now, Tulsa. Anna, thanks so much for being here. How are you doing today?
Thank you so much for having me. When I saw that the title included eating ice cream, I was like, oh, I am so there. I am here for this. I have found my people.
Yeah, that's a big part of the show, a big part of my life too. There's a whole story behind why I say ice cream. But Anna, I met you, gosh, I don't even remember now, a couple weeks ago at one of your ice bath challenges, which I absolutely love, by the way. Thank you for putting that on and sharing that with the community. But a key aspect of your ice bath challenges is this idea of breath work. And you've been trained in breath work and all of that. And we were talking off camera a little bit to target my audience, breath work for getting a better night's sleep, breath work for overcoming anxiety and things like that. So let's kind of start at the beginning just to define what is breath work exactly and kind of go from there. So Anna, take it away. Tell us exactly what is breath work to start with.
Yeah, so breath work and meditation very oftentimes kind of get put in the same category.
Okay.
And they are, they're really similar. And a lot of meditation is focusing on the breath. But maybe perhaps in meditation, it's not really changing anything. It's just noticing what's happening in the breath. So the difference between meditation and breath work is that in breath work, it has this work element to it. And so that means that you're going to be doing something a little bit different than just your everyday, regular breath. So
Okay.
sometimes breath work will truly feel like work, and you'll be like, oh my gosh, I just exercised my lungs for 45 minutes. And sometimes, the work portion feels less worky and it's a bit more blissful and, it's easy and just, these soft and gentle inhales. But as many different stars are as in the sky, are as many different kinds and styles of breath work that exist.
Okay, I've heard that too, many different kinds and styles, and I'll get into that in a second. But let me also, again, for a lot of folks, even myself, who are still kind of new to this whole idea of breath work, and breath work is becoming like more and more popular nowadays too, as people are learning about it. Why is breath work so important, I guess, and how does it differ, I guess, just from regular breathing?
That's such a great question. So why is it cool and why is it important and why is it gaining all of this popularity?
Exactly, yeah.
One reason is that and this is really surprising to a lot of people, is that most of us are doing it wrong.
Okay.
Yeah, so throughout the day, most of us are not breathing in the way that we should. So
Okay.
then when we figure out the right way, it's like, oh my God, I feel so much better. And so that's quite a great motivator to continue going deeper and doing more and trying these other kinds of breath works. It's a great way to induce a state change in the body. And breath work is the difference between breath work and then just
Like,
breathing
yeah, right.
throughout the day.
Yeah.
Is that it's something intentional. So maybe, breath work could be involving a lot of holding the breath, either holding it in or holding it out. Breath work could involve making the breath a little bit slower. Breath work could involve making the breath a lot faster. So there's a lot of different ways to kind of pull these breath work levers. But basically the bottom line of like, is it breath work or am I just breathing?
Exactly.
Am I changing something intentionally?
So you mentioned just a second ago, and we'll get into now. I'm getting on a roll here. We'll get into the sleeping anxiety thing here in just a second. But you mentioned just a second ago that a lot of us are walking around, we're not breathing correctly. So what are we doing wrong, and what should we be doing then? I never even thought about, like, I just walk and breathe. I never even thought thought about it. That's why I have people like you on the show.
So most of us are over breathing. And so what that could potentially look like is we're not breathing kind of into the full range. And I'm just going to move my camera down a little bit. And so for those of you who are listening and you're not watching, I have one hand kind of at the top of my chest and one hand down at my belly here. So really we want to fill up the whole trunk with air, but a lot of times we see people that are just breathing in the top half of the body.
Oh, very shallow breathing then. Okay.
Yes. So we want the breath to be deep. So we want to, I mean, like imagine that this isn't even just the space, not just the belly and not just the chest. Imagine that you're like breathing even all the way down into your toes.
Ah.
So we really want to fill up the breath. It's really important for the breath to be deep.
The one thing that we all have in common is that we all want to live the best possible life. We all yearn to find our purpose in life, to live that life of passion and fulfillment, and rediscover who we really are. The truth is, most of us don't know how to do this, and we don't know how to get out of our own way. Our mindsets, fears, insecurities, and self-doubts prevents us from reaching our full potential. If you are someone who yearns to break through and rediscover your authentic self, find your purpose, and live that life of fulfillment, then join my new online community, Rediscover You. Rediscover You is helping people just like you explore their passions, find their purpose, rediscover their authentic self, and live their best life. Inside Rediscover You, you will learn the tools, skills, and strategies that I have implemented in my own life, as well as with many of the clients I have worked with, to help them rediscover their authentic self, find their purpose, and live their best life. From understanding your purpose to knowing who you are or what you want your life to be about, you will get it all inside Rediscover You. Join me inside the Rediscover You community. I'm really looking forward to seeing you inside there.
So that's one component of really good breathing.
Let me jump in real quick because I know
Yeah.
some folks are going to want to ask this, and I heard some folks at the ice bath seminar ask this, and I get asked this a lot too. Do you breathe? So when you take that deep breath in, filling up all the way to your toes, do you do it through your nose or through your mouth? I'm sure you get that question a lot.
So this is a great question. So I'm going to differentiate here now between everyday breathing and breath work.
Okay.
So breath work could be inhale in the nose and exhale out the mouth, or inhale in the mouth and exhale out the mouth. But think of breath work just like you think of going to the gym.
Okay.
Or brushing your teeth even.
Okay.
You're not going to brush your teeth for 24 hours a day. You would have no teeth left, right? And you're not going to, yeah, a very sore arm.
Yeah.
And you're also not going to, you go to the gym, you load up this barbell with 500 pounds on your first time. Nobody's going to do that. You're not going to stay in the squat position for 3 hours. So it's the same thing with breath work. Is you'll have these kind of little portions of work, but then you have the other, let's say 23 and a half hours a day where you're just regular breathing. So your regular breathing needs to be in and out the nose.
In and out the nose. Regular breathing in and out the nose. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. And then it should be about 5.5 seconds in, about 5.5 seconds out. And you're changing about 5.5 liters of air. So what I did to kind of help people remember this is I created what's called the 6 deep breaths, because I've never counted a half count in my entire life. So I was like, what's the way to help people remember this?
Okay.
And then we combine a little bit of neuro-linguistic programming. Neuro-linguistic programming is a great way to just help us recall and remember things. And it's the association that we have between signs, symbols, words in the world, and just how we recall information.
Okay.
So this is the best way to remember the perfect breath. And it's such a good reset. So I ask everyone, take your left hand, and we take the left hand just because it's a little bit closer to the heart. And then if you're able to make skin to skin contact with your heart, go ahead and do that with the palm of your hand.
Okay.
So you'll kind of
I'm doing this now.
push it around on your chest until you're able to find your heart beat. And it might take, like a little, like
There,
figuring
okay.
out, it might take a second. And then eventually you'll feel it. And you might have to put quite a bit of pressure to feel the heartbeat, and that's okay. And then once you do that, if you're driving, you don't have to close your eyes, but pretty much anywhere else, this is the perfect breath. So this is the one where it's like, it really is okay to do anytime, anywhere, because this is actually what our body is craving all day long and asking of us. So you find the heartbeat, you find the heart rate, then go ahead and shut down the eyes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Close my eyes, you mean?
Yeah. Close the eyes. And so then just start to notice, like, okay, does the heartbeat feel really strong, or does it feel really soft? Maybe does it feel really fast or really slow, or whatever qualities perhaps that you notice about the heartbeat.
That's a good one.
And
I would use the word gentle right now for me.
So then what we'll do is, if the mouth is open, you're just going to seal the lips so that you can start to bring the air in and out the nose. And then together, everyone will push the thumb into the chest. And at that same time, take an inhale in through the nose, nice and slow.
Oh, right. I think I remember this. Yeah.
And then exhale out through the nose. And then push the first finger into the chest. Inhale. And exhale out through the nose. Push the middle finger into the chest. Inhale. And exhale. Push the ring finger into the chest. Inhale. Exhale.
Keeping the pressure on the other fingers too at the same time, right?
Yeah. Push the pinky finger into the chest. Inhale. Exhale. Last one, push all 5 fingers into the chest. Inhale. And exhale. Smile for no reason at all. And then you can open the eyes.
Yeah, wow. That's I'm much more relaxed, definitely. Yeah. Anyone listening right now, make sure, you're not driving and closing your eyes. Wait till you get to a safe spot before you could do that. So that's the power of breath work. And throughout our day, then, kind of just to summarize this little part, and we'll move on to the anxiety and the better sleep piece, but kind of to summarize this part, then, throughout our day, practice breath work as much as we can. Like you said, we can't hold a squat, for 24 hours or something. So we're not going to be doing breath work 24 hours, but maybe like a couple minutes here, or a minute here, or something like that throughout the day.
Yes.
Do that kind of 5-finger technique that you just mentioned. And if I'm in my office chair, I maybe can't, do this and get skin to skin contact.
Yeah.
Put it on my shirt or something. So is that kind of summarizing it up there then, like that?
Yeah. So what we just did is called the 6 deep breaths. And that is a breath that you can do pretty much anywhere, anytime. You can modify and adapt this to where, if you are, in an office setting or in a meeting, you can just take your hand and kind of put it on your knee, or put it somewhere else on the body, where no one's going to even notice. No one's even going to, bat an eye. You can just keep the eyes open, but still do, that same kind of motion in the body.
Yeah, like I have my hand on my knee right now. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So you can put your hand somewhere else then. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Anna, thank you for that. That's a quick introduction to breath work. And later on, we'll get into how folks can reach you and contact you and learn more from you and all that. But let's move on now to this idea of using breath work let's start with sleep, a better night's sleep. I've had a lot of clients, I'm sure you've had a lot of clients, that one of their common issues is they don't get a good night's sleep. So how can we use breath work for a better night's sleep?
Yeah, so this is probably the application that I use and teach the most, is just breath work for relaxation, calming down, whether it's, better sleep, or whether it's, reducing anxiety. And so there's one thing to kind of just think of and pay attention to when we're thinking of this concept of closing down the body. And we want to let the exhales be a little bit longer if we can than the inhales. Give me 1 second.
5 seconds on it's like 5 seconds on the inhale and like 7 seconds on the exhale. This is a dog friendly show, pet friendly show, so don't worry about it. It's dog friendly, pet friendly, cat friendly, child friendly, all of that. So
every time I sit down on the computer, whether it's with a session or on a podcast, I usually get like a few minutes and she's like, oh, this is my time to play.
so before we go to sleep, then we should practice some breath work then? Is that kind of what it is?
Absolutely. So it's a great way to just kind of calm the body down, to activate the parasympathetic nervous system. So the parasympathetic nervous system is basically what is going to cue our body that it's time for sleep. One of the other cues for the body to kind of go to sleep is cooling off the body. And so we can actually use breath work to kind of help cue that cooling sensation as well.
And just for listeners real quick, and we'll get to your stuff too here, Anna, but my program, Couch to Healthy, has an entire chapter dedicated to better sleeping. One of the things I mentioned in there, just real quick for the listeners, is something called a brain dump. And combining a brain dump with breath work, I think, would just be ideal. I can't remember if I think I must have talked a little bit about breathing in that chapter. Real quick, a brain dump is just literally let go of whatever is racing your mind 100 miles an hour. And I won't spend, more time teaching that technique or whatever, but brain dump combined with breath work, I think, could help people sleep a lot better. Because especially I think in Western culture, the hustle, go mentality of our modern day world, we forget exactly how important sleep is. And a lot of people brag, oh, I only need 4 hours of sleep a night or 5 hours. And that might be good for the paycheck, but ultimately that's not good for the body or long term. So I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I'll kind of just share a little bit of my story and how I even ended up like where I am now. Is I grew up like in the holistic world. Like that's just kind of how my parents were. And like we ate tofu before it was cool.
Okay.
Like, 20 something years ago.
Okay.
But when I, was a little bit older in my like 20s and I was working in the corporate world, I really bought into what I will call the American scream instead of the American dream.
A hustle culture or whatever.
Yes. Yeah. And so I was working probably about 80 hours a week.
Yeah.
I was also in school, and on average, I slept about 3 or 4 hours a night.
Yeah.
And I did that for like the better part of a decade. And my therapist one day just said to me, she's like, I need you to understand, if you keep living this way, you will be dead by the time that you're 40. Like,
so what was your age range then when you were?
I was maybe 27, I think. And she's like, the way that you're sleeping or not sleeping is just, it's not sustainable. And I had, like a lot of holistic and healthy practices, and I did yoga, and I did, any kind of meditation or breath work that was cued as part of that. And I did deliberate cold exposure. So I had a lot, of these really healthy practices. However, there's nothing that is ever going to take the place of sleep. You can't eat your way out, a healthy diet out of getting sleep. You can't work out, there's nothing that will ever replace sleep. It's the most important function in the body.
The one thing that we all have in common is that we all want to live the best possible life. We all yearn to find our purpose in life, to live that life of passion and fulfillment, and rediscover who we really are. The truth is, most of us don't know how to do this, and we don't know how to get out of our own way. Our mindsets, fears, insecurities, and self-doubts prevents us from reaching our full potential. If you are someone who yearns to break through and rediscover your authentic self, find your purpose, and live that life of fulfillment, then join my new online community, Rediscover You. Rediscover You is helping people just like you explore their passions, find their purpose, rediscover their authentic self, and live their best life. Inside Rediscover You, you will learn the tools, skills, and strategies that I have implemented in my own life, as well as with many of the clients I have worked with, to help them rediscover their authentic self, find their purpose, and live their best life. From understanding your purpose to knowing who you are or what you want your life to be about, you will get it all inside Rediscover You. Join me inside the Rediscover You community. I'm really looking forward to seeing you inside there.
I guess I got lucky because I've understood the importance of sleep for literally since day one. I was literally born or something, but I've always made sure I got at least 7, 8 hours of sleep a night. And one of the things I've learned over which you recognized at an early age that I've learned on this path of wellness is this idea about longevity. Anything we're doing to our bodies, our health, whatever, in our 20s or 30s is going to come back to bite us in our 40s, our 50s, our 60s. I've worked in senior wellness. I have seen that so much, not necessarily with sleep per se, but like lack of movement or, the sugar-based diet, the standard American diet, the SAD diet, things like that. So sleep is huge. Yeah. And I think then that'll be a good transition. So let's kind of transition into anxiety a little bit because that's a major health concern for a lot of people. And I follow some of the different Facebook groups and they're talking about meds and all this. And I'm just thinking, oh my gosh, what is going on in our pill prescribed based society and culture? But I think getting a good night's sleep can help reduce anxiety, and then breath work can also lead into that. But is there anything special regarding breath work to target specifically for anxiety that you teach?
Yeah, so there's one breath work that I'll share here. It's called box breath, and it's probably the most popular breath work on planet Earth right now. And it's really simple to do. And anybody can do it anywhere, anytime. And that's part of the reason why it's so helpful and it's so effective. And you could do this for sleep, and you could also do this for anxiety. And I think that the crossover that's really nice is that when you're helping in the area of sleep, you're also going to help in the area of anxiety for sure.
Yeah.
So box breath is going to look like an inhale for, let's just say, 4 seconds. And then you're going to hold for 4 seconds. Then you're going to exhale for 4 seconds. And then you're going to hold for 4 seconds again. And maybe you start with 3 seconds, or you want it to feel not wildly challenging. You want it to feel comfortable. So start with a number that feels comfortable. And then as you kind of start to adapt more to that, then you could maybe go from 4 seconds to 5 seconds. And then maybe 5 seconds to 6 seconds. So you can kind of start to work your way up. So that's one breath work. It's probably, aside from the 6 deep breaths, that's one of the ones that I do most often, just like throughout the day or for going to sleep.
Let me then jumping around a little bit, back to your story a little bit. So, how did you learn about breath work? How did you stumble upon it? And when did you realize that, hey, I really like brushing your teeth? I need to do this all the time, as much as possible every single day. And how did it change your life? I guess, did it lower your anxiety? Did you start sleeping better? How has breath work impacted your life?
Yeah. So part of, my story, so I was kind of in the corporate world, in the hustle, in the American scream. And so my therapist that I had, she had said, I have like one thing that I really want you to do this year, and I really want you to take a vacation. And I was like, I take vacations all the time. She's like, but when was the last time that you took a vacation and you didn't take your work computer with you? And I was like, why would I want to do that? But so that was my homework piece. And I think that was in 2018, maybe. And I had done, breath work as part of my yogic practice for, I don't know, 5 or 6 years before that. But I hadn't really taken the breath work piece of the puzzle or the breath work medicine. It was just something I did in yoga classes.
Okay.
And so I went on this trip, finally I found, 10 or 12 days off of work, didn't bring my work laptop. And I was in New Zealand, and I noticed that in spite of the jet lag, I was having like the fast training for, I had like 3 back-to-back half marathons, and I was training for those quite
A lot
rigorously.
more to talk about. We have a lot more in common than either. We have a lot. We'll definitely have you back on the show, but I'm sorry to continue. I just had to jump in there real quick.
And so, breath was a really big part of that, of being able to control the breath. And in order to, get faster, you want to pay attention to the way that you're breathing. And I noticed that, in spite of the jet lag, in spite of, the anxiety about missing work, I was having like the fastest runs of my life. And I was like, oh my gosh, like there's something really incredible is happening here. And I think that was probably for me the first time in my adult life where I really had the freedom to start to pay attention to my body.
Okay.
Truly, unhindered. Like I wasn't, all right, after that, I don't have time for Shavasana. I've got to, be sitting here thinking about what's next. It was just, I found real freedom.
And how old were you at this stage in life? I can ask.
I think I was like 27 or 28, maybe.
Okay. So this was what, 10, 12 years ago or something, or?
I'm 34.
Okay, so about
Yeah.
6. Okay.
And so then that next year, or maybe I think I was 28. The next year is when I quit my corporate job. I came home from that trip in November and I had everything that I owned in a storage unit within 30 days.
Wow.
And so then I spent all of 2019, like my goal was just to learn how to truly connect deeper with the body in a way that I had never done before. And
Wow.
so, I mean, I took on every practice that you could imagine that one could find. I tried it.
Okay.
So like I had done,
Self-training then? You just started teaching yourself then a lot too?
well, so I spent a lot of time in Thailand and I spent a lot of time in Colombia that year.
Oh, wow.
And so, and I had done, a ton of travel. I had lived abroad on multiple occasions in lots of different places before that. So I wasn't, a stranger to solo travel. I wasn't, I was just like excited to be there. And I knew that I wanted to just find these places where I could feel like what I didn't recognize at the time, in that trip to New Zealand was flow state that I was in. And so I was just looking for ways to really find that again. So I did a lot of meditation. I mean, just like totally deep dove into meditation of every kind that one could possibly try. I tried them. Really deep dove into pranayama, which is like an arm or a tentacle of one of the breathwork practices, which is part of the yoga world. And I tried circus arts, which included trapeze and straps and lyra. And I mean, just like you name it, I was like just over and over again, trying all of these new things to really learn how to connect with the body. And so then that was in 2019. And I had a cold exposure practice prior to that, but I had never until 2020 combined breath work and cold exposure. And for me, that was really like, that was the golden ticket.
Oh, so how did breath work transform your health, I guess, or transform your life? Like, did it literally do a 180 for your health and your life in terms of
Yeah.
the stress, the cortisol, all that?
So the magic for me was when I combined breath work and cold exposure. So I knew that like I had been doing cold exposure deliberately for probably 9 or 10 years before I combined breath work and cold. And I knew that I would feel good that day. So I would do it, like even just one day of feeling good is great. And I knew that I would feel good, after my yoga class. The particular yoga class that I went to was 30 minutes of pranayama. So 30 minutes of breath work and then 60 minutes of whatever the yoga thing was. I knew that I felt good, like after that class and during that class. But it wasn't until 2020, and I combined breath work and cold exposure. And that was like I came out of the ice bath a different person because I had a nervous system reset.
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah. Yeah.
And it was just like, oh my God, like things they'll just never be the same. And I had no idea that that was even an option. I had no idea that that was possible. I wasn't looking for that. I just was like, oh yeah, let's combine these two things. That'll be cool. See how that goes.
And you kind of can't, you feel like a brand new person then, basically.
Yes. And so, and I had, because, of my awful insomnia that I had had for years and years and years, working all these hours and just doing a lot of things. I was on 6 different prescription medications.
How many are you on now?
0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Real quick, I want to just jump in real quick. So anyone listening, that if you are on medications, I'll just chime in real quick. It doesn't have to be that way. There's a whole holistic wellness approach to it. I call in my programs, I teach the 7 natural medicines. Breathing is one of the 7 natural medicines, breath work. And you can use breath work as one of the other 6, a couple real quick: food, laughter, movements. Those are some of the other natural medicines, but you can use these to get off the pills.
Yeah.
I had, was it, I think it was, yeah, I can't even remember. I do so many of these shows now, Anna, but I had one guest on, I think it was yesterday, maybe it was last week. I don't even remember now. Was on 15 different
Mm,
options, and it led to her having a massive stroke.
mm.
And long story short, she combined breath work, yoga, everything, got off all that, started using the natural medicines, and is now a new person. So I just wanted, because that's so important, because
Yeah.
so trained in our society, our culture in the Western world anyway, to just go to the doctor, get a prescription, take a pill, and there are
Yeah.
other options. So anyway, I'm sorry, continue, Anna.
Yeah, no, thank you. You're so right. There are other options. And the thing is I just didn't think that there was another option for me.
Yeah.
Even though I had grown up, in this like very holistic, very healthy minded family, I just was like, oh, I'm too busy. It's gonna take too much time. It's not worth, the research or the effort. And really the thing is like in 2 minutes, I was in the ice bath for 2 minutes. And I
Yeah.
did, maybe 30 minutes of breath work before that. So in 32 minutes, my life changed. And I came out of that and it was like I didn't need a single one of the medications that I had been on for almost a decade before that. So it's like if you think like, oh, it's not possible, I can't do it, I can't, get off of the Ambien or the Xanax or the Valium or whatever it is, like, do you have 32 minutes? Are you willing to give it 32 minutes just to try?
Hope people are listening right now. Just 32 minutes to change your life. Breath work and ice bath. The ice bath challenge is fun. Anna teaches a really awesome class on that, combining breath work. And I forget what you call it. I call it earth dancing. What did you call it?
Ecstatic dance.
Ecstatic?
Ecstatic, yeah.
Ecstatic dancing. Okay,
Yeah.
yes. Same thing, but different terminology. But
Yeah.
Anna, gosh, we could talk about so much more here, and I definitely want to have you back on the show, and I hope you'll come back on the show. But to kind of wrap everything, how would you summarize or wrap everything up that we talked about, and really, again, back to one of my original questions: what is breath work? Why is it important? Why should people be doing this?
Yeah. So the big things that people need to remember are that the way that we breathe all day, every day, it matters. So just, if nothing else, start to pay attention to it. And one of the best things that you can do is just notice, like, if your mouth is open while you are breathing, yeah, just go ahead and shut it. And then another thing that I just want to mention quickly here is there are 8 hours at nighttime where potentially our mouth is open while we are sleeping. You don't know because you're asleep. I don't have any pieces right here in front of me. I normally have mouth tape like everywhere in my room because sometimes I'll get up, in the middle of the night and take it off and like rip it and stick it in the
Okay.
door. But you can sleep with it. It's called mouth tape, and basically you just tape your lips shut.
Oh.
And that is like 8 hours of like free breath training. And people are like, oh my God, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna suffocate to death. No, you absolutely will not. I promise. I promise. Your
Well,
body will wake
is
you
there a
up.
special tape called mouth tape then, like Scotch tape or something, but mouth tape or?
There are so many different brands out there. I
Yeah.
use an off brand of like kinesiology tape.
Okay.
And so I can use one piece, like over and over.
Okay, I'm gonna try. I think I do sleep with my mouth. I'll try that. Yeah, tape your mouth.
It will reduce snoring in about 2 weeks by, I can't remember, but like it's like 30% or something like that. I
Okay.
mean, it's really incredible. So also it could potentially help to lower your blood sugar, get better sleep. It can actually help to change the shape of your mouth.
Oh,
Yeah, which is good. We want that because a lot of us have kind of really high palates. So it could potentially reduce allergy symptoms. I mean, there's just like I literally could go on and on and on about mouth tape at night because it's a really effortless way to just train the body for better breathing.
well, I
But
am
yeah, through the nose is what you need to know for today.
gonna try that. Okay, through the nose, and anything
Yeah.
else for the good of the order before we wrap up here?
Through the nose and let it be, deep and light and almost just throughout the day, your regular breathing, almost invisible. So it shouldn't be this like really labored kind of a breath. Just let it just be kind of almost invisible.
Okay. And again, for anyone listening, I just strongly want to emphasize again, for me, breath work is a natural medicine that you incorporate this into your everyday life, just like brushing teeth or combing your, well, if you have hair, I guess combing your hair or something like that. But it is such a powerful tool, a powerful medicine. No prescription needed, no doctor appointment needed. You can go out, and I live in nature, luckily, so I kind of combine that with the forest bathing. Just sit on a log in nature and deep breathe sometimes. So, Anna, it's been a true pleasure having you here today. You do a lot of teachings and coaching and workshops. How can folks reach you to learn more about you, to work with you?
Yeah, you can go to my website, which is my name, annaprieto.com, Prieto. You can find me on Instagram at the Breathwork Life Coach.
Okay, I'll get you on Instagram too. I forgot about that one. Okay.
Perfect. Or you can find me on Facebook, and my name is just Anna Prieto or the Breathwork Life Coach on Facebook as well. And I love answering I get all kinds of really fascinating questions on breath work and ice bath and some of the other modalities that I facilitate, and I love them. So please send me your breath work and ice bath or mindset, play therapy, all those kinds of things, questions. I'm here for it. I run retreats usually once or twice a year, and I have a 12-week one-on-one coaching program as well. So I've got lots of ways to work with me. And then
Yes.
I love doing corporate trainings. Like you came to kind of a version of a corporate training, but we can bring, into the office breathwork for productivity and breathwork for group cohesion. And so there's a lot of things that we can do with it. And it's really fun.
Oh, exciting. I have a feeling we're going to definitely be chatting more about a lot of different things. But Anna, thank you so much again. And for anyone listening, thank you so much for being here. If you liked what you've heard today, please do me a solid, share this episode as far and wide as possible. Hit that subscribe button wherever you do listen to your podcast. And please leave me that 5-star review. I would super appreciate it. So Anna, thank you once again. I will definitely put all your information in the show notes as well, how to get in touch with you. Definitely reach out to Anna, work with her, the breath work, the ice bath challenge. It's fun. It's incredible. It's amazing. But thanks so much, everyone, for being here. As I always say at the end of every show, be well, be safe, be happy, and yes, eat ice cream, a scoop of ice cream now and then, never hurt anyone. So thanks again, everyone. Take care, and we'll see you next time. Okay.